Simpsons Conversation with Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Call 0345 6060 973.
So the exchange of top-name presenters and stars between Britain and the United States continues. We've given them Ricky Gervais and Piers Morgan lately. They fought back. We've got Conan O'Brien coming over here, and he's in the studio with me now. Conan, welcome to England. Welcome to the studio. We'll talk a little bit about the show that's coming up. It starts next Monday, I believe.
That's right, on True TV, yes.
Before you suddenly hit the airwaves over here, your views of Britain. What does Britain mean to you?
Well, it's changing all the time. First of all, you now have a tropical climate. That did not used to be the case. But now coming here is like coming to Orlando, Florida. So that's changed the whole perception.
What do you pack?
Now it's just sunscreen. I never thought that would be the case. But now you come to London and you bring a hat, you bring sunscreen, and a Speedo bathing suit. Those are the things you bring to... It used to be an umbrella and big boots. No, it's all changed. You have a completely different world now.
In the midst of time... Americans would look across at the UK and they would think of probably the Queen and a lot of fog and stodgy food.
Yes.
We have moved on, not least possibly because of 2012. What did that do? How did that change, possibly London 2012, change the view of the UK around the world?
Well, first of all, I think the food cliches have gone completely out the window. You have excellent food. I mean, I wish I could remember the name of the restaurant. I keep forgetting it, but I had some of the greatest... I was in Italy recently, and I came to London, and last night I had the best pasta. It beat anything that I had in Italy. I kept going back to the waiter and hugging him. I was weeping.
Well, that's what you're going to tell the court anyway. That's why you were.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I also, I wanted a rub. But
who doesn't?
A cuddle. But yes, I think that's clearly much more sophisticated.
Yep.
And I think a lot of Americans in the past, a lot of our attitudes came from the movie Mary Poppins. So we really thought that you spoke like Dick Van Dyke.
Yes.
And then you're here, and I think 2012, we all learned that that you guys have evolved.
Yes.
You've actually evolved far beyond anyone in the United States. You speak proper English.
Yes.
You seem to be better mannered. You have excellent food. So yes, and now you have the climate of Texas. So really things have changed quite a bit here.
We're starting to kick on a little bit. What makes you laugh?
Well, I have to say, I like people that don't take themselves too seriously. I hate pomposity. So it's funny, when I started out in comedy writing, when I was on The Simpsons, I started out on The Simpsons and worked there for a while. But, and I'm not just saying this because I'm in England, but I always thought you guys were ahead of the curve on comedy. And
what specific? Who would you be talking about there then?
Well, Blackadder was really big for me. Loved Blackadder, and you did something different in America. When we have something that's working, we immediately make. The company says, okay, that's funny, make 10,000 of them overnight. And one of the things that you have here in Britain that I've always admired is you'll have a great show, a terrific show like Fawlty Towers, and you'll only make so many. You'll make as many as are good, and you'll stop. Blackadder, the same thing. Alan Partridge. I discovered that show and started having Steve Coogan on my program in America, and people didn't know who he was. He hadn't been in any American movies yet, but I kept insisting that he come on the show because I was such a fan.
Yeah.
So I like the absurd. I mean, Python was actually the beginning of the whole thing.
Yes.
For us in the States, it changed a lot of our opinions about what comedy was.
So how much does the story of The Office underscore your argument? Because in the UK, Ricky Gervais, I think, made 2 series and a Christmas special. Now, the American is hilariously funny, but you sense we might be getting close to jumping the shark on that show now.
Well, they're done. They've
been done.
Yeah, they've been done for a while, but...
I think they had 8 or 9 series, and UK did 2.
Yes, they went on for about 10 years, and a good friend of mine, my former writing partner, headed up that show.
Right.
So I can only say the nicest things about it, or he'll hit me. He'll punch me in the throat.
Yeah.
But I think there's a magic to not getting quite as much as you want. Meaning there's this magic to that's all you're going to get. So when Ricky Gervais made The Office, and it was fantastic.
Yes.
I just wanted more. All of us wanted more, and we were hungry for more, and there was a power to saying, that's it, getting out when you're on top. And I think that's always been part of the great ethos, if you want to call it, of British comedy, is that they don't stuff it down your throat. They make something really good, and then you leave you wanting more.
The sort of show that you do in the US is the mainstay of American television. It's hugely important to audience, it's hugely important to networks, it generates all the money. They go to bed switching off whatever channel you're on, they wake up and it's the same channel, they're locked into you. Those shows have never really worked in UK. They've never been able to get a guy, and we've got some talented presenters, no question.
Right.
Why do you suppose that is?
I think it was invented in the United States for whatever reason. It's a very American kind of invention. It started out as a time-killing show. You know, when TV first got invented in the late 40s, they found out that they had this extra time, and someone said, let's use it. And so if you look at the early shows, Steve Allen, you know, it becomes much more sophisticated, but in the early days, they're literally killing time. And I think it's something that just got into our culture, which is you stay up at night.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson was a huge figure in the United States. And I think a lot of people in Britain, UK, never really got to know who Johnny Carson was. But he was
you watched him as a child, didn't
as
you?
a child, and
I mean,
it was
you
a
must
big.
have been a real child. You'd only have been in your.
I was when I was a boy. My dad would let me stay up, and he would let me watch, and so it was a way that I connected with my dad. We would watch Johnny Carson together. So it's one of those things that's hard to explain. It got woven into our cultural fabric somehow, and then it just became a habit. Right. So we're in that habit. You guys have different habits.
Yeah.
You know, the way that you watch and understand football, and we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think the hope is that good comedy is universal. So our shows are very comedy heavy, and we do have chat, but it's very silly and absurd. And my hope is that translates, because a lot of the things that we do on the show translate very well on YouTube here and on the internet.
Now, we're going to be talking about your hour-long show that's going on True TV, and we're going to give the listeners all the details in just a second. But Conan, you mentioned The Simpsons, and obviously it's a massive show that we've enjoyed in the UK for years. You'll have been asked this question so many times. What is the magic of The Simpsons? Hasn't it beaten just about every record you can shake a stick at in the US now?
Yes, it has. It's been on the air, I think, longer. It certainly broke the record for any animated show. But the thing about that show, it's funny. When I first went to work at The Simpsons, I prided myself on, I'm funny, and I'm just going to write the most far-out, weird, crazy episodes that are going to just blow people's minds. And one of the co-creators, Sam Simon, said to me, the thing you have to remember about The Simpsons is it's a family. And they love each other. And I thought, what's he talking about? This is rubbish. Who cares about, what do you mean they're a family? And when you're a comedy writer in your 20s, you just want to be the fastest gun. You don't want to hear this. But I absolutely believe there's something to that people buy into them as a family. And there's also the magic of they don't age. You think of any other show, people... You know, Bart Simpson now would be 55 years old. He couldn't be saying cowabunga and riding a skateboard anymore.
But among the writers, is it a very competitive... Is it a friendly atmosphere? Is it quite a hostile work environment?
No,
is it hugely competitive?
No, not competitive at all.
Really?
I've worked in very... I don't know how familiar you are with Saturday Night Live, but it's our...
Of course I am.
I worked on that show as well and loved it, but that's a very competitive environment because it's live. There's only so much time every week, and you have to get a sketch on. You're very worried about getting a sketch on, which means if you and I are writers on Saturday Night Live, it's very natural for me to worry that if you get two sketches on, I might not get a sketch on.
I've got to beat you to death to get my sketch in ahead of you.
And you will. You will beat me to death. But The Simpsons, we're in a boat, and all the oars are pulling in the same direction. And we're all going in the same... We're all trying to write the episodes. We're all working together.
Your stock in trade is a lot of political satire. We've got a story recently here. Ed Miliband, who's the leader of our opposition party, the leader of the Labour Party, got a lot of criticism because he wanted to catch up with Barack Obama, and he flew all the way over to the US to gain about 20 seconds to meet with the president. Is it worth it?
20 seconds with the president?
Well, he got a bit longer, but not a lot longer.
Sure, I think so. He's Barack Obama, but he's still the coolest guy in the room. So yes, I think 20 seconds with the president's worth it. It depends on what he paid for on airfare.
Yes.
You'd have to break down exactly what he spent. And I need to know I need to see his receipts.
Yes.
If he spent, more than, 10,000 pounds, I'm not sure.
Yes.
But if it was if it was in that ballpark, then yes.
Okay, there is still magic about Obama, is there?
It's funny.
What about for the average American, I wonder, Conan?
Yes, I still think there is. I think, obviously, any American president who's in his second term, people start to, you're there for 4 years and then you're around and you're the house guest that's sticking around. So it's just a tradition in America that people, I think, start to give their leader a hard time in the second term.
Privilege meeting you. I've watched you on TV for years. I wish we had more time, but we've come to the end of it. So Conan O'Brien, I have to tell everybody that it's on True TV, the all-new Freeview channel. It starts this Monday, 11 p.m. Conan, we catch you on there, that's right.
11 p.m. I'll be invading your homes. My apologies. Monday through Thursday. Yeah.
True TV, and of course you can watch and listen to LBC as well. Conan O'Brien, good luck with it. Thanks for coming over.
Real pleasure. Thank you.
I'm done for another day. James O'Brien's the other side of the news. I'll see you tomorrow morning from 7. Meantime, stay safe.
Well, this is marvellous. My ego reels daily under the pressure of not being the best known presenter on LBC, and today I'm not even the best known O'Brien. It can only get worse. It's going to be downhill all the way. But coming up first, what do you think a footballer, a lap dancer and a policeman have in common? Police officer, lap dancer, footballer. All three professions, I think you'd consider it fair play for a boss to say, lose some weight. Would you add doctors and nurses to that list? The chief executive of the NHS is keen to see his staff shed the pounds. Seems a little bit unfair to me, but not as unfair as the Deputy Prime Minister of Turkey, who's issued an edict ordering women not to laugh. Reminds me of my single days.
On FM, online, on your mobile and on digital radio. Leading Britain's conversation, this is the Station of the Year, LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 10 o'clock, the Foreign Secretary says the government's Emergencies Committee will meet later to discuss the threat of Ebola in the UK, the largest outbreak in history.